On to other news, though. The historic mission to the moon ended yesterday with a splashdown in the Pacific. The Orion spacecraft made it back to Earth after an uncrewed test flight around the moon. It's all part of NASA's historic Artemis I mission. Sherman Chow has a look at what scientists hope to learn from this space odyssey.
Splashdown, the latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon, comes to a close.
Orion is back on Earth, but its post-flight analysis is just beginning. No humans were on board, but 3 mannequins were.
What we learn on Artemis I with our mannequins assistants will help us better understand how a human will actually behave in the seat, both for landing and for launch.
2 of the dummies, nicknamed Helga and Zohar, were comparing space radiation exposure. One wore a safety vest, the other did not.
Space radiation is a mix of high-energy, heavy-charged particles that originate from the sun. To put things in perspective, 1 year of Earth exposure to cosmic rays is equivalent with 1 day of space radiation exposure in deep space.
The results could help engineers design suits and vehicles for deep space travel. Other key elements: how did the engines perform? Fuel use, trajectory, thrust.
One of the great things about the math involved in flying in space is you're trying to balance how fast you're going with gravitational pulls from things like the moon.
Artemis also carried science experiments, including one on board a miniature satellite left behind to orbit the sun. Scientists will study the impact of radiation on yeast cells.
The same yeast cell that you use to make bread or beer, as those cells get activated by putting media into them, feeding them, and then watching them grow. And it'll send all that data back by telemetry from deep space. We never have to get that science back.
The next big target, an Orion test flight with 4 astronauts to circle the moon in 2024. And eventually, a sustainable, manned moon base. Sherman Chow, KHOU 11 News.